Hey there, I'm Chris Cato, and welcome to a special half hour of Only in Florida. You guessed it. And you know what that means. At least 29 and a half minutes of alligator shenanigans. All right, calm down, calm down. We have more than just gators for you. But the rowdy reptiles do demand a fair amount of camera time, especially during mating season.
Only in Florida can you replace Tinder with Growler. Who needs a dating app when you've got pipes like that? Gator mating season is often rumbling in Florida, as evidenced by this video from Gordon Silver in Lakewood Ranch. That's Gator for you up, purple devil face emoji. And it didn't take him long to get a reply. Okay, we'll let these two continue their reptilian romance in private. Sometimes, though, to find a mate, you have to leave the pond, but that can lead to obstacles. Obstacle 1, an obstinate crane. We've seen this showdown before, and I've yet to see one of the big birds back down. Well, he won't back down. No, he won't back down. You can have big teeth and a gator's tail, but he won't back down. With apologies to Tom Petty, that was a heartbreaker for that lovesick gator. Obstacle 2, law enforcement.
Pull him out a little bit.
Apparently they don't like it when you're roaming a city street and you're over 9 feet long, as we saw in Tampa this week. These brave officers had to make a very Florida decision. Heads or tails?
I'm gonna go to the head, and you just sit on his body.
Oh, okay. I'll just sit on his body. No problem.
Ready? Good job, Luke. Proud of you. Just keep the weight on him.
They do not pay these guys enough. In no time, they had the scaly suspects blindfolded and hogtied like a hostage in a mobster movie. He put up one final fight. But the officers, I guess you'd call them investigators now, got the big fella loaded into the back of a trapper's truck. I'm sure it'll work out well for him. He'll probably go to one of those alligator farms you hear about, where he can get fatter and tourists can gawk at his girth.
What's going to happen to you? That one is called luggage and hors d'oeuvres.
Oh, goodness. Sorry, buddy. Like I said, obstacles to mating season. Obstacle 3, offense. This big fella wasn't going to let some flimsy aluminum bars around a golf course keep him from his date. I'll just squeeze my way through here and... dang it. Got his rear leg stuck. Now, what happens next is truly one of the most only in Florida things you'll ever see. Most people might call a trapper to get the gator out of there, but not this guy who works at the golf course and probably knows that gator on a first-name basis. Let me help you out there, bud. The recording stops before we can see it, but he did get the gator disentangled and through to the other side. I like to think the reptile turned and politely thanked him and promised not to bite any humans he might meet along his way. But that's not Florida reality, as Scott Hollingsworth can tell you.
All I saw was just massive black thing, and my first thought's dog.
After hearing a sound at the front door of his Daytona Beach home, he opened it to come face to face with this gator. It lunged at him and bit his leg above the knee, then retreated. Now, I've heard some Florida stuff before, but a gator knocking at your door and then biting you may be the one thing that keeps more people from moving to this state. Gator experts say the odds of this happening, though, even in Florida, are 1 in a million.
I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong. He should buy a lottery ticket, though. I mean, definitely.
Yeah, didn't buy a lottery ticket yet. Probably should have.
Clearly, the animal ignored the no soliciting sign on the door. Or maybe the gator was posing as a Girl Scout, not selling cookies, just looking for some nookie.
You're laying right here.
Obstacle 4 to mating season, people's houses, always in the way. Trappers say the lesson for humans this time of year is, look before you do anything.
Look before you jump in the pool. I take them out of pools this time of year. Look before you walk out a door. If you have a doggy door, look before you step out of bed.
That's real. Words to live by because of what we live by. Only in Florida.
Got to keep your head on a swivel around here. But as promised, we do have more than gators for you. After all, what's more only in Florida than a 3-legged burglar bear with a drinking problem?
Only in Florida can you blame a bear with 3 paws for 2 missing claws. White claws, that is. This 3-legged bear, famous around Lake Mary,
resident area bear tripod,
recently barged through the patio screen of a home and opened the refrigerator beneath the bar.
Well, if he knows how to open that door, then he knows how to open my house door.
A 13-year-old boy was home alone and filmed the intrusion. He says the beargler rummaged through the fridge, took out a couple of White Claws, and chugged them.
And see, there's like little holes of it, like that's his teeth and stuff.
Now, I'm not accusing the kid of anything, but if I were ever tempted to sneak some booze from the parents' stash, this may be the perfect cover. Oh yeah, Mom, your White Claw? The bear drank them. He also got into Dad's cigars.
He grilled the beers, he drank it, and left. Just like that.
Now, what did you rather have in your neighborhood? A buzzed bear or a lovesick monkey?
It's a Florida story. The locals love the monkeys.
Dr. Missy Williams heads up a monkey awareness group in Dania Beach near Fort Lauderdale. It's home to a population of wild vervet monkeys. They usually hang out in the mangroves, but every once in a while, a young male will venture into residential areas looking for a mate. Dr. Williams named this one Ninja Joe.
He left his natal group and he's out currently searching for love in Fort Lauderdale, not knowing that there are limited choices out there. So we're rooting for him. I would argue that most people in the dating pool in South Florida would agree. Regardless of what species, the dating pool is limited.
Whoa, Dr. Williams, don't project on Ninja Joe. He just might beat the odds, like his ancestors did back in the 1940s when they escaped a research facility that was guarded by a giant, creepy chimpanzee statue. If that's not only in Florida, I don't know what is. Boaters discovered a flamingo bobbing in the water off St. Pete Beach last week. Its wings waterlogged, it couldn't fly. Animal rescuers scooped it up in a net and took it to a seabird sanctuary for some TLC. They believe this lone flamingo was part of the flock that showed up on area beaches after Hurricane Idalia passed through. Experts believe they were flying from the Yucatan Peninsula to Cuba when the storm blew them off course. Maybe while they're in town, they'll swing by Tampa International Airport and pay homage to their colossal cousin, Phoebe. The airport recently threw a first birthday party for Phoebe to celebrate 1 year since the sculpture was installed. People in costume singing happy birthday to a giant plastic flamingo just before a hurricane comes may be a sign of the apocalypse. Or it may be just one of those things that happens only in Florida.
That Phoebe is a real fan favorite. But another creature also became Florida famous this year.
Only in Florida is this a face people fall in love with.
This little gator is an absolute treasure. We are so in love with her.
An alligator missing her upper jaw is a budding celebrity at Gatorland in Orlando. Wildlife officers concerned for her well-being in the wild caught her and brought her here for some reptile rehab.
We're going to heal her up. We're going to have our vet take a look at her, and she's going to be great.
Experts believe she was hit by a boat propeller at least 6 months ago, but resiliently survived on a diet of snails and frogs. Now at Gatorland, she's scarfing down much heartier fare.
She ate today 2 mice all on her own.
How?
But she gets it in there, she throws it back and gets her little tongue going and is able to get it and swallow it.
Not only is she getting fed, she's got a name. Gatorland let the public suggest what to call her, and the staff says one moniker stood above the rest, a tribute to that American treasure, Dolly Parton.
So we're going to name this little gator Jolene.
Jolene, 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 Jolene.
You've been going around singing that song all morning.
Hey, I would too if I had pipes like that. Good job. But might I suggest the name Dolly Partial could have also worked.
Or if you wanted to go with another country music star, Carrie Underbite. I should have quit while I was ahead. I told you we'd have more than alligators for you in this show. There's also this, a dangling, drip-drying horse. We'll explain this scene that played out only in Florida. Welcome back to our little show. Now, I know a lot of people move to Florida for the heat, but this is my favorite time of year here. Sweatshirt in the morning, flip-flops by afternoon. Now, in the summer, it is just too hot for me. So hot that humans aren't the only ones who are looking to cool off.
Only in Florida does MMA stand for Marine Muzzles Alligator. Mike Dragich is an MMA fighter and a Marine veteran and a licensed alligator trapper. And a couple weeks ago, he went a few rounds with a 10-footer outside a school in Jacksonville. Quite a crowd had gathered, something this fighter lives for.
You know, I show up, I walk out. There's a lot of comments saying, well, I look like Stone Cold walking up to this alligator.
But he didn't try to hit the gator with the stunner. Mike had enough moves of his own to get the reptile under control, and he got a tag team assist from firefighters. We've seen plenty of alligators in swimming pools lately, so let's switch things up a bit and give you a crocodile. At a home in Islamorada, this is why you always turn on the lights and look before going for a night swim.
Just enjoying a soak in the pool when we got there.
I mean, you can't blame him. That blue water does look inviting, and it is hot in Florida right now. Every creature wants to cool off. A horse named Mo wound up needing a lift after jumping into a backyard pool in Pasco County.
It was kind of a beautiful leap into the pool. I mean, he would have got a 10 if it was a diving, thing.
No medal for Mo, though. Instead, he got to drip dry while dangling from a tractor. Soon they had him back on solid ground. But Mo's owner may want to put up one of those signs that says, "No horseplay around the pool." The Gulf is also a good place to cool off. Wait, what is that? A furry manatee? No, a bear. And the best kind, a little one. Surprising beachgoers in Destin, and apparently trying to body surf. Hang 10, gentle Ben. This dog will show you how it's done. Flagler Beach recently held its second annual dog surfing competition. People love it, but whether or not the dogs do is up for debate. Come on, boy, this will be fun.
I don't think he has much of an option. Once the wave gets him, he's gone.
When the choice is between balancing on a board or falling into the world's largest bathtub, you find a way to balance on the board. It is scorching hot in Florida right now. Paige Herring sent me this video of a peacock enjoying the airflow from her AC unit, as his buddy appears to be patiently awaiting his turn. You know, sometimes it's nice to have your feathers ruffled. Maybe this store is just trying to force cooler weather upon us. Dwayne Fuller sent me this photo of a shocking find at Ollie's in Zephyr Hills, an extendable snow brush in Florida in the summer. There must be another use for this that I'm just not getting. Kind of like those loofah sponges in the villages. At least there are plenty of places in Florida you can go to cool off, like the swimming pool. Oh, nope. Already occupied. Okay, how about the water park?
It's coming up, it's coming up! We have to wait. Careful, careful.
Okay, the iguanas have found the water parks. They don't just show up in our toilets now. Love that scream, though. Okay, I've got it. The Gulf of Mexico. Always a safe place to cool off, the good old Gulf. Oh, that's a dorsal fin. A big dorsal fin, with a lot of bodies in the water near it. You know what? Air conditioning. Indoor air conditioning. That's the remedy for Florida summer. The peacocks had the right idea all along. The choice is yours. You can change your air filter or change your bathing suit. A choice to be made only in Florida.
He will never live down that scream. Up next, we salute some officers of the law who have to deal with all the craziness around this state, surprise traffic stops, and unexpected drug busts that happen only in Florida. Welcome back. It's time to give a big shout out to all the police officers, deputies, state troopers, really any law enforcement official you can think of. They deal with some pretty crazy stuff only in Florida.
Only in Florida. Can giving a state trooper the bird actually get you out of trouble? Now, before you try it, let me explain. Highway Patrol pulled over this rather lopsided pickup truck in Clearwater after a motorist called it in for driving erratically, suspecting the driver might be impaired.
Hello. Hey, brother.
After the trooper told the driver why he had pulled him over, the man gave him an excuse worthy of the Excuse Hall of Fame.
I'm just tired. I was fighting her. I'm trying to get her home.
The trooper could see who the her is in the passenger seat, and when he got back to the radio in his car, he gave the dispatcher an update she never saw coming.
I just talked to him. I'm not getting any indicators of alcohol or drugs, but he does have an exotic bird in the cab with him. Okay. And apparently he's been fighting the bird. The bird's been trying to fly out the window and all kinds of stuff. That's new. Okay. It's a giant bird, a parakeet, I think. I don't know.
Nope. Not a parakeet.
If you're going to get his bird out, you won't see it.
Try a scarlet macaw. By then, 2 more officers had gathered to see the driver's plucky passenger for themselves. Turns out the long arm of the law also makes a nice perch when posing for a photo. At this point, the driver knows he's getting off with a warning. This is a lesson for all of us, I guess. If you need a colorful excuse to get out of a ticket, just keep an exotic bird in your car. This Hillsborough County deputy also had an eventful traffic stop. Not a parrot, but an expecting parent.
All right, look at me, breathe through, all right, Mama?
Not only did Deputy Red Jones deliver the baby, the third of his law enforcement career, he also delivered jokes to lighten the labor.
Is this your first baby? No? How many?
This is 6.
6? Woo, y'all need a better hobby, okay?
The mayor of Tampa was discovering high tide in the Florida Keys.
Closer we got, I was like, oh, that would be a bale of cocaine.
Jane Castor was on a fishing trip with her family when she spotted a package in the water.
So we got the gaff and pulled it in and pulled it up on the boat. And it had been in the water for a while because the plastic had split open and I could see down in the tightly wrapped kilos.
She knows her dope because she's a former police chief. But now, as mayor, she netted 70 pounds of cocaine, estimated value over $1 million. The feds say this was the 5th bundle of drugs found floating in the Keys in July. At this rate, we'll have to rename it the Florida Key Lows.
That is a lot of cocaine. Let's hope the sharks don't get into that stuff. Admittedly, we can't go very long without showing you more gators. And this one apparently wants to show us his tonsils.
Oh my goodness gracious. What are you doing?
It's the perfect way to wrap up this Only in Florida special. Hey, welcome back. Let's face it, sometimes I feel the need to include some bathroom humor in my segments. I consider it part of my duty. This next bit's a perfect example.
Only in Florida is the #1 rule of going #2, look before you sit.
That's when it turned around and opened its mouth. And that's all I needed to see to like back off for a minute.
This man, who is so perfectly named John Riddle, was shocked to find an iguana in his jana, an invasive species instead of feces.
He was splashing and hissing at me.
A real troll in his bowl. Flush with fear, John's thoughts were swirling.
I thought I was in Jurassic Park or something.
Oh, I think I get the reference. That guy never needed his toilet again, but John Riddle does, and was trying to devise a way to get the critter out of the, you know, when it crawled out on its own. He herded it out the door and realized it must have gotten in when he left the screen door open to walk his dogs. Bet he'll never make that mistake again, because in Florida, things are always looking to get in. Case in point. This nosy visitor showed up at John Pierce's home last week. I know, another John.
You can't be too cautious because they're wild animals.
You may want to tell him that.
All right, it gets bigger and bigger.
Daphne Surface sent me this video from Mayaca River State Park. Turns out she's pretty good at gator commentary too.
Oh my goodness gracious. What are you doing? Was that a yawn or was that him like letting us know we could all fit in there.
My guess is the latter. You know, with gators, I take everything as a warning sign, especially an actual warning sign, although I think this one has left this gator quite confused. Is this for me? Am I not supposed to swim? And is that what I look like? Gee, the camera really does add 10 pounds. Thanks to Ron Collins of Zephyr Hills for the photo, and thanks to Julie Burkett for the joke. After I shared Ron's photo on Facebook, a bunch of you commented on what the gator was probably thinking, and I found Julie's remark to be the most fitting. Now remember, it's not plagiarism if I give you credit.
And I'd be happy to give you credit too. So please send me your Only in Florida videos, photos, other items you find. And you can find me on Facebook at Fox 13's Chris Cato. There you can also find all past episodes of Only in Florida served up in nice little 3 or 4 minute videos. Just scroll through my timeline. But for now, we hope you've enjoyed this special edition of Only in Florida. Thanks for watching.